All right. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, February 15th, 2024. Sorry if if my mic's a little bit funky. I'm in a room that's hardwood floors and it's reverberating all over. So hopefully it's not too bad. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump back to yesterday and take a look at what happened here. Come back into the open. And we had a couple kind of major zones that we were looking at in terms of potential resistance. We had this pocket right here. This level up at the top, I added that to the chart this morning. It's a swing that we want to be aware of if price pulls back there. So that wasn't on the chart, but we were looking at this pocket as an expected resistance zone. And then down below, this pocket right here from about 70 to 74, 75. With two discrete levels right in between there. So let's look at what happened. The market opened, got a nice little pullback right into 50% of the previous day and the VWAP. And that was what, like we were talking about yesterday, staying above 50% of the previous day and 50% of the previous week was a good clue for a potential bullish bias. So we came down, held 50% of the previous day, VWAP there, and then the market tried to stair step up, basically held 50% of the previous week, broke it by maybe 2 points, and then stepped up right to our scaffolding level, but came up and fell just above the pocket that I warned you guys would most likely be a probable area of resistance for the bulls. Now they came up to it just out of the open and got a double top just in front of it, and then got up and tried to hold above it there. But then that began the pullback. So the market started to sell off. Hey, there's our crossover. There's that fail before the high. And there's the tag of the 200. And then it came down, tried to bounce right off VWAP again, but then came back to the back end. And then we got this nice, healthy little pullback down into the very pocket that I warned you guys. If the market does end up failing down through 50% of the previous day and hopeful, this most likely was going to be a major area of support. And again, that was the low of the day there. So kind of chugged down, was a bit of a stair step. We kind of held this. We kind of held the scaffolding, the VWAP. Then it stair stepped down right off the 50% level. And then, wasn't necessarily nice, perfect one by one here, but came back up to test VWAP. Came back to test the 50%, and then we got the tag to the tick off of our support and resistance level. So really nice stuff. And then that began the stair step back up. So we held that level, got up through our next roadmap level, held that nearly to the tick for a great long opportunity. You could have shorted 50% of the previous day or the back end of VWAP on the pop, or you could have bought on the pullback to the hopeful there. We would have got a nice 10, 15 point bounce to make a little bit of money with. And then we got a retest of that low only. And if you really kind of dissect and get really into the weeds here, I mean, it does come down, try to hold off the back end of the two levels, but then it's just a short-lived little fade there. And then it just starts to rally and we get our stair step back up the level. So one by one here, hopeful 50%, 50% of the previous week. Scaffolding, it gets through the next roadmap level at 03 we added to the chart yesterday, pulls back, holds that, gets up through the next roadmap level we put on the chart. Oh, actually I added this today, so never mind. And then we came up and tagged into the back end of 16 quarter, which was another level I warned you guys. If the bulls come up through some of these areas, now 5,009 is a new level for today. So disregard that, but right up into 16 quarter to the tick is exactly where we got the pullback, right? And then from there, at the end of the day, they finally kind of brought it up through 16 quarter and held it on the pullback to come up and parry right off of our scaffolding. So, I don't know, unbelievable stuff if you ask me. And then we came into the overnight session and we've got a continuation of this bullish push. So if you zoom out, let's bring up the 60-minute quickly here to see where we're at in the grander scheme of things. we came down and sold off down through a very, very critical zone the other day coming into yesterday morning. But then the bulls went ahead and recovered yesterday. And I just want to point out, we've been looking at fibs a little bit more recently because I did kind of stop following them for a while when we were just in really directional moves. But just a couple days ago, the market failed and bounced right off the 50, popped out, and then came down, and the low of that day was right off the 61, and we got this nice pop higher. I just want to show you, just I guess as a teachable moment here, on the rally back up to retrace the sell-off, look what happened right at the 50% area. We came into the 50% and literally pulled, and I didn't draw it perfectly, but we came into it, pulled back, came into it, pulled back, came into it, pulled back for 3 hours, and then finally got a little peak above and this really, really heavy pullback, only to pop up at the end of the day yesterday, coming into our 16 quarter level we were just looking at, and it happens to be nearly a perfect 61.8 retrace. And from there, we got the second most notable pullback. If you look in terms of candlesticks on an hourly, the biggest pullback obviously was yesterday, a couple hours after the open. But then at the end of the day, coming into Globex, the second pullback here that's visible from an hourly chart was right off the 61.8. So it's just another beautiful example of these ratios working out for pinpointing really good areas in the chart for rotations. What makes it difficult, guys, is the fact that we just don't know. Is it going to hold 38? It's going to hold 61. Is it going to hold 50? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. But the main takeaway is that we do know that those three areas are very probable areas for these type of rotations and intraday turns. So that brought us here again into our overnight session. And now we're up just in front of, and this is crazy. We added this level to the chart yesterday. I gave it to you at 50.31.5. And what happened here in the overnight session? Let's go down to the 512 so we can see the detail right to it. So there's just another roadmap level I gave you guys where we get one of the biggest rotations of the overnight session off of. So that brings us here into the pre-market for this morning. Let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames.